Yes, thank you for sharing that. It is Easter, and I'm so grateful that we are here this morning with this body of believers. The youth have put together the service today. To begin with, we're going to have a children's class. The Solstice girls have put that together, so I'm not exactly sure what all they have going on there, but all the youth, all the kids, younger kids, come up and be on the front bench and on the floor if there's not enough room on the front bench. So if all the kids can come forward, we'll get started with the children's class.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We have a little bit of a story for you guys this morning, and we have a skit that goes along with it. So you guys are going to have to bear with us because it's a little bit silly sometimes. And it's a story about a naughty little black lamb named Claudius. So once upon a time not so long ago, there lived a good shepherd who had 100 sheep. The good shepherd loved his sheep very much and always took care of them well. The sheep loved their shepherd because he loved them, and all of the sheep listened and obeyed their good shepherd. All except for one little black lamb named Claudius. Now Claudius was a very naughty little black lamb. Sometimes he would be quite obviously naughty and would kick an innocent little white lamb. Sometimes he would be sneakily naughty and would steal the grass from a sheep when it was not looking. But Claudius's favorite thing to do was to do whatever anybody told him not to do. And so we see that Claudius was really quite a naughty lamb. Well, one morning, as the 100 sheep were being let out of their pen, their good shepherd gave them some important instructions to obey. He told them to stay close together in the mountain fields where they were going, because there were cliffs and wolves nearby. 99 of the sheep decided right away to obey. However, one little black lamb immediately came up with a plan to disobey. Surely, he thought, the shepherd does not know what he is talking about. He is a foolish shepherd. I will not get hurt if I disobey him. I will prove it to everyone that the shepherd is wrong and I am right. As soon as he had a chance, Claudius sneaked away from the rest of the sheep. At first, he had a lovely time. He snaked around in the bushes, watching and laughing at the other sheep for being so dumb as to obey the foolish shepherd. Then Claudius saw a beautiful field of flowers and hastily went dancing through it, going farther and farther away from the other sheep. Before long, he came to a big forest that really looked quite scary and dangerous for a little lamb. But Claudius laughed to himself and thought, "This forest might look scary, but it is no match for me. I am a mighty sheep. I even did what the other sheep were too scared to do. I disobeyed my shepherd, and I have not gotten even the slightest scratch." And so Claudius went loudly crashing through the forest, paying not even the slightest attention to the dangers around him. But suddenly, Claudius heard something that made him screech to a halt and shake in his hooves. What had been silence before was now filled with wolves' howls and the cracking of twigs as wolves sneaked up behind him. Claudius whirled around and ran with all his might. He ran faster than he had ever run before, so fast that he could not even see where he was going, so fast that he did not see the cliff he was running straight towards. At the last minute, Claudius saw the cliff and tried to stop, but it was too late. Claudius fell down the cliff, bumping down one ledge and then another, bumpity, bumpity, bump, till he landed on a ledge far down the side of a cliff. Claudius tried to stand up, but he had broken his leg. He was completely helpless and had no choice but to lay down and wait for someone to come help him. Maybe, he thought, my shepherd will come rescue me. But then Claudius thought of how he had laughed at and disobeyed his shepherd. Surely his shepherd knew that Claudius had gotten what he deserved. Surely his shepherd could never forgive Claudius for all the bad things he had done. So Claudius lay down his head and cried, helpless and without hope that anyone could love him enough to rescue him from what he really deserved. Meanwhile, the other 99 sheep had begun to go back to their pens since it was getting dark. As they entered the pens through the gate, the shepherd counted each sheep. But when the last sheep passed through the gate, the shepherd only had 99 sheep. He counted again and then again, hoping that he had miscounted his sheep and that all 100 sheep were there. But each time the shepherd only counted 99 sheep, and he knew that Claudius had disobeyed him and had sneaked away. The shepherd knew that Claudius deserved to be punished, left alone, scared, and miserable. But the shepherd loved each of his sheep, even Claudius, and did not want him to be punished. So the shepherd went out into the cold, dark night, searching everywhere for him. The shepherd looked in the field where the sheep had eaten, in bushes where Claudius had laughed, in the flower field where Claudius had danced, and in the forest where Claudius had first entered with pride and then ran with fear. The shepherd began to become cold, but he continued to look for Claudius, calling his name everywhere he went. Finally, the shepherd came to the cliff where Claudius lay almost frozen and too weak to move. When Claudius heard his shepherd's voice calling, he could hardly believe his shepherd had come looking for him. But, he thought, if there is even the slightest chance that I did actually hear his voice, then I will cry with all my might for him to rescue me. So Claudius mustered up all the strength he had left and gave a pitiful little bleat. The shepherd ran to the edge of the cliff and, peering down, saw Claudius. Then the shepherd climbed down to Claudius, and after fixing his broken leg, slowly led Claudius back to the other sheep. On the way back, Claudius bleated out all the many things he had done wrong, which was quite a long list, saying sorry for each of them. But the shepherd only said one thing in answer to all of Claudius's naughty deeds.
It's okay. You were lost, and now you're found, and I forgive you.
And this time, Claudius listened carefully to what his good shepherd said. Now, it's your turn to listen very carefully, because there is a lesson in this story. Each of us, you, and you, and you, are all Claudiuses. And Jesus is our good shepherd. Jesus loves and cares for us, but we, like Claudius, have chosen to disobey him. Sometimes we do obviously naughty things, and sometimes we do secret naughty things. But we all do bad things and disobey Jesus. However, when we disobey and go away from Jesus like Claudius did, Jesus will come looking for us. He will come looking for us, not because we deserve to be looked for, but because he loves us and because he is incredibly good. And just like Claudius, we must cry out for Jesus to rescue us. For when we do, Jesus will come and save us. He will lead us back to where we belong, and as we tell him how sorry we are for everything we have done wrong, Jesus will give the same response to us as the Good Shepherd gave to Claudius. You were lost, but now you are found. I have forgiven you. And that is the story of Claudius, the very naughty little black lamb. You guys can go back to your parents.
Thank you for that. The Stoltzfus family, that was had a very powerful message and also some entertainment. I think, I'm sure each of the kids could learn a valuable lesson from that, and us as adults as well. Um, so yeah, if the youth can start coming forward, we have some singing and some other stuff planned. We'll get going on that.
Here in the love of Christ. While he was still speaking, there came a crowd, and a man called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He drew near to Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said to him, "Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?" And when those who were around him saw what would follow, they said, "Lord, shall we strike with the sword?" And one of them struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus said, "No more of this." And he touched his ear and healed him. When Jesus said to the chief priests and officers of the temple and elders who had come out against him, "Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs? When I was with you day after day in the temple, you did not lay hands on me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness."
My God, what have I done? All this, what I had to do and why, seemed so clear to me a few days ago. But now, I didn't want them to hurt Jesus so bad. He needed to be reprimanded, but not this. Not the beating, the public humiliation, with the agony of the crucifixion still to come. I'm Judas, one of the 12. I started following Jesus because I believed in what he was saying. But then people started calling him God. I didn't mean for all this to happen. The chief priests were looking for someone to tell them where they could find Jesus because they wanted to question him about his teachings. I knew there was a lot of conflict between Jesus and them, so this was the perfect opportunity for Jesus to clear the air. He's a nice man, but he's not God. Besides, they were offering 30 pieces of silver if I'd help them. Why shouldn't I make a little money if I'm doing the right thing at the same time? I still don't believe Jesus is God, but he doesn't deserve this kind of treatment, even if he is insane. We treat our animals better than this. But that means I'm responsible. Maybe Jesus isn't so innocent after all. Maybe this is what he deserved. Yeah, he was being a menace to himself and others. He should be removed from people for the good of others and himself. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. Jesus never wanted anything for himself. He always thought of others. At least I can be honest about that. Jesus is a menace to no one. All he ever talked about, all he ever showed was love and forgiveness. That's what his parables were all about. My favorite of all the stories he told was about a rich man with 2 sons. The youngest asked for his inheritance but squandered all the money. He then came back to the father begging for forgiveness. And I thought I knew for sure the moral of the story, that Jesus was telling us that we need to follow every letter of the law, and if we didn't, we had to face the consequences. But that's not what he meant at all. Jesus meant God forgives us no matter what we do, as long as we repent. That's what he meant with all the other stories as well. Forgiveness and love. Yes, he was a gentleman, a good man. He doesn't deserve this, no matter how deluded he was. So I'm responsible. I'm sorry for what I've done. Love, forgiveness. I only wish there could be forgiveness for me, but there can't, no matter how sorry I am. When I saw what they were doing to Jesus, I tried to give the money back so everything would be all right. But it wasn't. Jesus is going to die. It's all my fault. There can't be forgiveness for me for this. Those were just nice stories Jesus told. They didn't really mean anything in the real world. I'm doomed. There's only one thing for me to do.
Pilate said to them, "Then what shall we do with Jesus who is called Christ?" They all said, "Let him be crucified." And he said, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Let him be crucified." So when Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves." And all the people answered, "His blood be on us and on our children." Then he released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, delivered him to be crucified.
This is the toughest decision I've ever had to make. I'm Pontius Pilate, governor of Judea. Besides being administrator, I act as judge when the Jews bring their capital cases before me. They have no trouble sentencing prisoners to death, but their law prevents them from actually killing them. So they come to me to wash their hands and consciences of the matter. Usually it's no problem at all. I approve their sentence, and they send the prisoner to his death without giving it much thought. Until now. A short while ago, they brought me a man they said was trying to subvert Caesar, Jesus of Nazareth. Of course, I had heard of him before. I do my job. But he's nothing like I pictured him. Not at all subversive like he was made out to be. I questioned him on the charges the Jews brought against him. He wouldn't answer. Legally, he didn't have to. I wanted to acquit him, let him go. In fact, I did, several times. But Caiaphas and the others wouldn't let the matter drop. Then I came up with a perfect solution. Whip him, then release him. That should appease their need to make him suffer. And he did suffer, with 39 lashes from the whip. But still, Caiaphas kept pressing me. They wouldn't let the matter die. They wanted Jesus to die. I see how it's all political. How Caiaphas is using me to get what he wants. I should let Jesus go just to spite Caiaphas. Why doesn't Jesus defend himself? Even through his pain and agony, I can see how intelligent he is. If he would only defend himself, I could find a way to let him go. There's no evidence against him. And my wife, even my wife got involved in this. She sent me a note about a dream she had. She had a dream that I should have nothing to do with Jesus. What did she call him? A just man? I've never listened to any of her superstitious dreams before. But this time, why should I kill him? There's nothing to gain from it, and everything legal points away from death. Everything except this crowd. And that Caiaphas has turned this crowd against me. They're saying if I don't listen to them, they'll report me to Caesar. And I've worked hard to be called the friend of Caesar. I won't have these manipulating people deprive me of that. What would they say in Rome if they thought I couldn't handle a minor disturbance among these people? How long would I be able to keep my job? So where do I stand? On the one hand, the law, my instincts, and even my wife all say I should let him go. But my career's at stake if I free him. And I know Caiaphas would make me suffer for thwarting him. I can't do much for my wife if I'm out of a job. I won't be able to uphold the law if I'm demoted. And I can suppress my instincts. I've done it before. I wash my hands of this. If you want to kill him, let him die.
Simon, Simon, behold, Satan demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail, and when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. Peter said to him, Lord, I am ready to go with you, both to prison and to death. Jesus said, I tell you, Peter, the rooster will not crow this day until you deny 3 times that you know me.
Hello, I'm Peter, one of the 12. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. Who am I kidding? It has been a crazy couple of years. It did not take me long to realize there was something special about him. I first met him after a night of fishing where we had caught absolutely nothing. As we were washing off our nets, he used our boat to teach people on the shore. When he was done teaching, he told us to launch out and cast our nets again. I tried to tell him that we had been fishing all night and we had caught nothing. But I knew whatever he commanded I would do. And so we went fishing again. What happened changed my life. We cast our nets. I had never seen so many fish. So many that our nets started to break. And even worse, our boat began to sink. Immediately, I recognized his power and my unworthiness. I knelt before him, asking him to leave because I was a sinful man. He told me not to be afraid. From now on, we would be fishers of men. There was only one thing for me to do. I abandoned that massive catch of fish and my livelihood and followed him. Over the next few years, as the disciples and I followed him, we learned from him and witnessed countless miracles. Sick people were healed, thousands fed with a small amount of food, and even the dead raised to life. He even called me to walk on water with him. His miracles and teachings astounded us. Soon, though, there were threats against him. Looking back, I now see he gave us hints of what was to come, but we didn't understand. There was his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, and then came Passover. While we were eating, he took bread and wine and told us to eat and drink, that this is my body, and to do this in remembrance of me. What did he mean? Even more perplexing, he started to wash our feet. Jesus washing our feet? It wasn't right. I was about to let him touch my feet. I wasn't worthy of that. Then he said, if he didn't wash my feet, I would have no part of him. I certainly didn't want that. Looking back now, it makes sense. That's who he was and what he did. The greatest man among us humbled himself to wash our feet. I can't begin to explain how he made me feel. Then another shock. He told me that I, Peter, would deny him. I couldn't believe that. I was willing to follow him. Hadn't I proved that? I was convinced. I was willing to die for him, with him, if that's what it took. Later, at the garden, my good intentions began to unravel. When the soldiers came, I saw my chance to show Jesus how worthy I was. I would fight to the death if need be. I pulled out my sword and began. I didn't get very far because Jesus rebuked me and healed the damage I had caused. Could he not see that this was our chance to fight? But no, he allowed them to arrest him. The trial started, if you can even call it that. He didn't even stand a chance. While the high priest was questioning him, a servant girl pointed out that I was one that had been with Jesus. I denied it, quickly saying that I didn't even know him. Later, another person accused me of being with Jesus. Again, I denied it. About an hour later, yet another man said he had seen me with Jesus. This was starting to get scary. Would they put me on trial as well? So I said, I don't know anything about that man. Before I even finished talking, I heard the rooster crow. My heart sank. Jesus had been right. Just a short while ago, I said I would die with him. And here I was, denying him, just as he said I would. I glanced over to where he was. He looked at me. Oh, the agony of seeing his disappointment. The unworthiness I felt when I had first met Jesus came roaring back. The weight of it was crushing me. I stumbled away and wept. I had never wept like that in my life. The trial continued. He was beaten, whipped, and questioned over and over. It was so awful. Finally, even though he had done nothing, they crucified him. We were in shambles. Our leader, our Messiah, was dead. His body was taken to a guarded grave, and we began mourning. I still remember the hopelessness, such that felt like it was crushing us. Where do we go if our leader, our Messiah, our hope is dead? My shame and unworthiness still hung about me. For 3 very dark days we mourned him. Then came the morning. The women came to us saying the stone had been removed. They couldn't find his body. John and I ran to the tomb. As I went in and saw the linen clothes lying there, hope started to well within me. Did he really rise from the dead? Will I be able to talk to him? Will he forgive me? could I even dare to hope? Looking back, I didn't realize the full weight of what his resurrection would mean. But now, after seeing Jesus multiple times since his resurrection and hearing him teach, I understand. It was never about me proving I was worthy of being near him. It was never about an earthly kingdom. It was never about us. It was about Jesus, the perfect lamb, dying for our sins. It was about him defeating death and the power of sin. By his death and resurrection, I no longer have to carry my burden of shame and unworthiness. He bore my sin. He won my battle. I didn't need to fight for him. He was fighting for me. So how do I go on from here? I had once told Jesus I would die for him if need be. I think it's time to show that. Before he ascended, he said to me, "Feed his sheep." I plan on spending the rest of my life doing just that. His last words still echo through me. "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." That is how I will go from here. And just maybe I will get the chance to show Jesus I am willing to die for him.
But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb, and as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb. And she saw 2 angels in white, sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Having said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and that he had said these things to her.
It was dark. It was really dark, not just because it was early. It was a darkness I'd never known before, a darkness that didn't just surround you but crept into your soul and smothered it. I'd known dark times before, of course I had. I remember, though not clearly, the days of possession, the days where I didn't know what I was saying, where I was going, or who I was. But then that had changed. He spoke, and at his word the darkness lifted. The shadow was gone, and I was a new woman. A new life started, a life of adventure and discovery, a life where who I am was linked with who he is. For the first time, the very first time, I knew that life had a purpose, a meaning. The Galilean countryside had never seemed so green, the lake never so blue. The meals we all shared, there was fun and seriousness, joy and laughter, and even the food tasted better. And he spoke. Words of power and authority, not always easy words, but they burned. They burned in your heart and your soul. And I knew that I would never be the same again. So we came to Jerusalem. You should have seen the crowds. People from Bethsaida, Capernaum, everywhere in Galilee. Crowds of people singing for joy as he entered the city on a donkey. Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel. We knew this was big. We knew that things were about to change and change forever. How couldn't they? We had heard him speak and we were changed. Jerusalem would hear him speak and it would change. The world would change. There was no end to what we thought would happen. The next few days went by in a blur of anticipation and excitement. And then night fell, and the soldiers came, and we watched Mary, his mother and her sister and others, we watched helpless, hopeless as he was crucified. We stood there and we watched and we could do nothing. Where was Peter? The others, where were they? Only John stayed nearby, and in all this pain and rejection and suffering, Jesus spoke words of comfort to his mother, words of love and concern as he hung there dying. And then he died. In the darkness, he died. And as he died, he spoke, "It is finished." I know the sun came out later, but it was dark inside. As Mary and I went with Joseph and Nicodemus to the tomb, we watched as they laid him on the shelf of rock, as they rolled the stone across the entrance, as the light went out forever. 3 days go by, 3 days of sorrow and anguish and anger, of pain and a bottomless pit of despair, days of fear and nights with no rest. Now it's the first day of the week, and it is so dark. Early, I find myself on the path to the garden, walking to the tomb. Why am I here? Where else could I be? In the slowly breaking dawn, I see the tomb. But there's something wrong. The stone is gone. It's the right tomb. I know it's the right tomb. But something dreadful must have happened. I run to Peter and to the others. 2 of them run off to the tomb, and they leave me behind. I can hardly move from fear and confusion. I get there later than them. Peter says the tomb is empty, the burial cloth just lying there. What's that supposed to mean? And then they walk away and they just leave me and go home. What am I going to do? What had happened? In that moment of emptiness and isolation, in the dark night of my soul, I wept. My heart just broke and I could do nothing else. I wept for lost hope, for broken dreams. For me, yes, it must have been for me. Never had I felt so alone. And then I looked up. Something made me go over to the tomb. Trembling, I looked inside, and there were 2 men there. Where had they come from? They asked me why I was crying. Why was I crying? Because my Lord is gone. I don't know where he is. That's why I'm crying. My Lord has gone. I turned, and there was another man there, the gardener, I thought. Perhaps he had moved Jesus' body. So I asked him. And then he spoke. Never has one word meant so much. He spoke, a voice of love and comfort, of majesty and power. He spoke, "Mary." For the first time, my name seemed to mean something beyond the ordinary, the physical, the normal. Mary. And the sun rose. It rose in glorious red and yellow and orange. It rose in my heart and banished the darkness. It flooded my soul with brilliant white light that felt so real, so heavy, I could almost touch it. This was Jesus, not dead. Oh no, not by any means, but alive. More alive than I had ever seen him before, more real than I had known before. Jesus, alive. My Lord returned. He spoke and I wanted to sing. I wanted to shout, to scream for joy and wonder. I don't know what I wanted to do. The sheer thrill of the moment took my breath away. And so I speak. I shout, Jesus is alive. I have seen the Lord.
They all walked walked away, nothing to say. They just lost their dearest friend. All that he said, now he was dead. So this was the way it would end. The dreams they had dreamed were not what they seemed. Now that he was dead and gone, the garden, the jail, the hammer, the nail, how could a night be so long? Then came the morning, night turned into day. The storm was rolled away, hope was with the dawn. Then came the morning, shadows vanished before the sun, death and lost and life had gone. For morning had come. The angel, the star, the kings from afar, the wedding, the water, the wine. Now it was done, they'd taken her son, wasted before his time. She knew it was true, she'd watched him die too. She heard them call him just a man, but deep in her heart, she knew from the start, somehow her son would live again. Then came the morning, night turned into day. The storm was rolled away, hope rose with the dawn. Then came the morning, shadows vanished before the sun, death and lost and life had won, for morning had come.
Okay, we're gonna sing three more, and you guys are more than welcome to help out. I think we're gonna have the words up on the projector. So. There is a blood that comes alive, paid my way. Death is price, when it flowed down from the cross, my sins were gone, my sins were gone. There is a grave
sent his Son. They call him Jesus. He came to love, heal, and forgive. He bled and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave was there to prove my Savior shine.